Are we related?
Jeannie, I think I may have made a friend.
Who?
Some young woman on the internet.
My name is Lily Trevino.
I don't even know how she found me.
He's funny.
Congratulations on a wonderful movie. I want to start with Tracie because I know for all directors, all films are autobiographical to some degree, but this is very much a personal story for you, inspired by.
Yeah, it's you know, my dad, just very similar to French Stewart's character, was angry with me, wouldn't call me back, wouldn't email me back, and so I put his name into Facebook, and I was like, maybe it's on Facebook, put it in, accidentally friended another man with his name, and that man, over 9 years, the actual friendship was 9 years long, was more fatherly and kinder to me than my dad had been.
Wow.
So, you know, I got happy birthday from my dad's name every year for 9 years. My dad never came to any of my screenings or anything like that, or even asked questions about my films, and this Facebook dad would say, "Way to go, kiddo," you know, like I get an award or something, "Way to go, kiddo," and it was my dad's name, and it was such a strange feeling because he had access to my heart because of his name, and I'd never had consistent care or support from anybody like that in that way.
Do you know if your dad has seen this movie?
He did not. He actually passed away before the movie was out, but I did have a peaceful end with him, and I did write another script.
Sequel? Barbie, you're available?
I'm available. I am.
But I couldn't have had the peaceful end without the boundaries and the distance and that I learned here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Barbie, for you, I mean, you get a script like this. I'm curious. First of all, what makes you pick up a script, and why this one jumped out? I can see it's so incredible. You look for you hope for a good women's role in a movie, and this one has 3 or 4. Yeah. That's got to be rare.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when I read it, I love to read scripts, so I tend to, at least give it a good try, even if it's something that maybe is not very interesting for me. But with this one, I remember it coming, there was absolutely no details. I didn't know it was, based off Tracie's life. And my manager said, "You should really read this." And when I read it, I was so moved and so ready to do it. And of course, it was so early in the process of it. So we spent a lot of time talking, and thankfully it actually came into fruition, which, a lot of beautiful projects don't. We actually got to make it and release it, and it's out here, and it was just the most wonderful script I ever read.
You mentioned your cast, including the great John Leguizamo, and I think I told you when I first saw it, Barbie and John, you're two of just the most naturally charismatic people I've ever seen on screen. And so it's really a testament that to believe that you're just ordinary people. Your chemistry is insane with him. Was there any kind of a read going into it, or you showed up on set?
We had a little bit of rehearsal, but John and I are both from Queens, and we just really, I don't know what it was. I love John Leguizamo. I grew up watching Baz Luhrmann films and just being such a big fan of him, especially someone from New York, a Latina from New York. And so it was magical. It felt like this project was just so important to us, and we hit it off. We went to a restaurant, we had Mexican food in Kentucky, and he was my neighbor in this weird suburb that we were in. It was just it was wonderful to also work with someone like that, and to have him fulfill that that fatherly figure. It was almost felt like art imitates life imitates art, So.
I feel like he's become all our Bob Trevino.
He really has. Bob Trevino, and it was wonderful because I was so affected by our scenes just naturally, and I think a lot of it was just how tender he is and how subdued, and just how, I guess for me, the concept of a father who actually wants to be there, is kind of alien to me. As kind of kind of a nihilist Gen Z girl with trauma. So it was for me,
that's the coolest description.
Thank you. And it just naturally came out in the scenes. It was really just wonderful to work with him.
I am curious though, because John, is a master improviser and comic, and you do such a good job of sort of, I don't want to say keeping him in line, but he really is this character. Did you have to tell him you can't be funny?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did. So we met in New York. We made the offer. He had read the script, and we were sitting there, and he wasn't technically on yet. I was like, shoot, I'm sweating, and I got to tell John Leguizamo that he can't be charming. This is tough. But I knew I had to say it, So I said, the tactics that actors use. I said, so this is how I phrased it. I remember because I practiced. I said the tactics to flirt and to charm out the window. Mm. You cannot for 1 second try to get what you want by flirting or being charming in this film, because you can only be funny on accident or if you're telling a dad joke. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's just such a beautiful challenge for someone who's made such a career out of being charming and funny, and he's so grand, just like Barbie. The nuance in their work is just so incredible, and to have an opportunity to just focus on that is just so wonderful.
By the way, just in case people are confused, there is a real Bob Trevino in the credits, but it's not the Bob Trevino.
Right.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed to change the name because it is a work of fiction and inspired by a real life situation. So I needed to change the name, but I needed a good heart. I was like, I can't just make up a name. It's too important to me. Like a lot of things in the script have some truth or heart to them that I felt would allow me to write it authentically. And my very first set that I got paid to work on, I was really a mess. I was really depressed, and there was a kind man on that set named Bob Trevino, and his wife named Denise was really kind to me. And he's like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" He was always just kind to me. And all these years, he would like my posts, just like my Facebook dad. And I called him up. I said, "Bob, I have a really strange question. Can I use your name when I write this? Because I think if I combine this, that I could really, really have this heart that I want and that I need." And luckily he said yes. So now when everybody likes it, when he likes their stuff.
Yes, no, he liked one of my posts.
Yes.
I flipped out.
And he worked on the movie.
Yeah.
He worked on the movie. He's special effects.
Yeah, people say Bob Trevino special effects. They're like, is that a metaphor? No,
He's a real man.
No, I remember he liked something, and I was like, Bob Trevino liked my post, and then I was like, wait, I'm sure he gets that constantly.
Yeah, I told him before he said yes. I said, you're going to get this maybe for the rest of your life. He was like, that's great. So,
I love that.
But it's a name that we associate it with such heart and somebody that we really love. So.
Your whole cast is fantastic. I love Lolo Spencer, and like every single role is filled so beautifully. I know French Stewart has said he really struggled being so mean to your character. Was that hard for you? Because our hearts are breaking for you in those moments.
I'm going to be very honest, because French is such a naturally incredible comedian that it actually was hard for me not to laugh at what he was, because he did a lot of improv, and it ended up not really. It was an unmade bed. I'll never forget that. He was like, "You look like an unmade bed," and like to this day I use it. And he just had so many of these like little like quips that he had, and ended up not really making it into it because we couldn't make him a complete villain, right? And Tracie, I totally understand, but for me, it wasn't. It was actually really wonderful that he played the way he did, because there was a charm to him that wasn't one dimensional, and I think it made it really easy for me to like want to be chasing that love from him as a father. And I had to stop myself from laughing a couple times, so maybe I'm just crazy. He was really, really funny and really just incredible. So yeah, and there was heartbreaking times, of course.
I laughed a lot, and people would get mad at me.
Did you ruin take?
I think so. I know I did one at least, but yeah. Also I cried, and like luckily I could cry quietly. But.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's so fascinating about what I call Bad Bob is like he really does think he's the victim.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't understand that he's the villain.
Isn't that
in
how
the
it usually
story.
is?
Well,
Bingo.
When directing him, I had to always be on his side, of course, because if I were to judge him, or we would make him a caricature then. So I would always be like the diner scene, like, oh, look at this list. She's totally gonna get it. She knows she's gonna see this. She's gonna get that she owes you, and and it felt kind of strange, but that was what we needed to do. We needed to we always say that, or we would say on set that every villain is the hero of their own story, and he thinks the movie's about him.
What is, I know it's acting, but I also know that your body doesn't know the difference when you're putting it through this kind of trauma. Do you have sort of a ritual for letting go of a character, or going home at the end of the day? Do you take it with you?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the project. I did a horror movie, and then I did kind of like a rom-com too, and then I did this in the past couple of years, and each of them really had like very different demanding things of me. And with Bob Trevino, I just remember, I was in Kentucky for a couple months, and I wasn't with my family or friends. Obviously, I'm out working, so it was really tough. But I felt like every time I'd finish a scene and I let it all out, and sometimes it would not even be scripted. So thank you, Tracie, for letting me have a little moment here and there. It felt like it left my body. I had to be on top of it so much, and I had this great, incredible challenge of these very dialogue-heavy, emotional scenes, and having to, track it. And also, this was just such a great challenge for me that I felt like every day I would come home and I just feel really happy about what I did. And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes I am extremely exhausted. Of course, I am human. But it felt for the most part like I could go to bed knowing that I put what I wanted. And that doesn't always happen as an actor.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go home and I'm like, I could have done something different, you know? But with this project and every way that it was, I felt like everything just fell into place perfectly.
Well, again, I want to remind everyone, I want to thank you, first of all, for coming out and seeing it on a big screen. This movie is still in theaters. Please
Sure
spread
is.
the word.
Thank
Let
you for
everyone know.
coming.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
so much. Thank you.